Hey everyone, it's Jackie from Energy Before Matter Life Coaching, and I'm here with Pari, who is a spiritual coach and expert in looking from the heart. And I wanted to say hi and welcome, and thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
And as I sort of quickly mentioned, I love your space. It's beautiful from this end. I love it. I guess
Thank
I
you.
wanted to know a little bit. Do you mind explaining to everybody what a spiritual coach does, your story, your history, just a little bit about you?
Sure. So my name is Patri, and I was born in India and in a spiritual family. I grew up learning spirituality as a normal world, learning from gurus, teachers all over the world, coming and teaching. So I've taken all the teachings from there, practiced it as a child. I used to do lots of meditation, all day, all night meditation, boot camps. Those were my summer camps. And uh, and from there I came to US when I was in 2004 to study, to explore. My purpose of life was just to have fun. That's all I had. And even now, it's just to have fun. So I found different ways to do that. And then I came here. Well, I found that I was surrounded with people that are that do not understand energy, that do not understand purpose. So I started to change myself to fit in, and I slowly gave my power away. I became a total people pleaser. I put everybody in front of me, their needs in front. So slowly my body started, so these problems, these blockages have been manifested in my body too. So that's how it works, right? Energy then comes into our physical realm and they manifest as diseases. So I had migraines. I was having stress headaches, and I had issues having babies. So apparently my left tube was blocked. So I see that, the block has been the major pattern in my life, which also manifested in me. So that kind of brought me back to my roots, brought me back to my spirituality, to bring all those elements back into my life. So I cleaned up everything. I cleaned up my house, took all the toxicity away. I removed all those friends who were toxic. I changed outside and inside. So that completely shifted my energy, my consciousness, and I took all those lessons I've learned all through the years of experience, and uh, created this program, Ignite Your Cosmic Abundance, to shift basically your consciousness from scarcity to being abundant. And so this is what I want to offer the world, and help women to achieve their goals.
Oh, I absolutely love it. And it's an incredible journey because, you talk about how the energy manifested into something that was a physical block. And I mentioned that a lot as well. We carry this energy around us and we can't pinpoint exactly what it is until it manifests into something that we don't want. And so it's
Exactly.
it's amazing how far we will go not following our intuition, not following what our inner voice is telling us until something physically goes wrong. And so a lot of that comes with social pressures, you said, wanting to fit in and people pleasing. And it's amazing because we don't really own who we are. And it's so important for us to do in order to actually make a huge impact in this world, to be who we are, I think. But maybe you feel differently.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I mean, the fear of not of being not accepted in the society, and fear of not fitting with your friends, family, everywhere. And totally, I mean, we get warning signs all the time, but we just don't listen unless it actually manifests. And that becomes a big problem. That's when people are driven into spirituality, into religion, or whatever they can hold on to. But so I think this is a consistent process. Even when you're happy, you always, the two main things which I've really taken away is always being having gratitude. whether you're in worse times or in good times. Always have that with you. And that really helps you being grounded and humble and know what you have. So yeah, absolutely.
I love it. And, I guess with that, what does following your heart really look like? And I guess we can continue the conversation as to why do so many of us not do it? Why do so many people not do it?
So following heart, I think that is the most important thing, because we talk about intuition. We think intuition is something only special people have it, or only gifted people have it. But everybody has it, and everybody sees that at some point, at every point in their life, but they just choose to not listen to it, or choose to not follow it. So I think heart is the most important thing, and being grounded, meditation helps you bring that awareness back to your heart, sink into your heart, and really really listen to it, so that you can listen to your own inner voice, and just shut down all the chatter from elsewhere, from your own mind, and bring that focus back to your own self, to really listen to your purpose, your voice. And why people choose not to do it, because people are I think more more focused on others. Like, we are always focusing on what is happening around the world, and they think, and also the time, they think that they don't have time for themselves. Not putting self-care first, not putting themselves first, is the main reason why they are not realizing that this is the most important. I think all of us are trying to bring that point to out, that focus, change the headlights back to yourself
Hmm.
than outside.
Hmm.
And that is what we have to do, bring all the focus back to our own self, and see what's wrong with us, instead of talking about what's wrong with that person. And that will change everything.
No, I completely agree. I think if we have a lot of us will blame everything on the outside, or look at everything on the outside, or wait for anything to come to us rather than us igniting it inside of ourselves. And I know I've had this conversation with people where they just say, it just feels selfish. But I
Mm-hmm.
think we take the word selfish and make it negative, when in
Right.
reality we really need to be selfish, because before we can serve anybody else, we have to be able to serve ourselves.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Self-care is the most important, and that doesn't mean you just take care of yourself and forget others. That's not what it means. It's first, get the light yourself first, and you will ignite everybody. That light will light up the whole room, the world. So yeah, absolutely.
And the word light is perfect, because when we follow our heart, I don't know about you, but for me, what it looks like is it looks easier. It feels lighter. It's not swimming against the current. It's swimming with the
Mm-hmm.
current. It's,
Right.
not obstacle after obstacle. When you're not following your heart, when you're not following that intuition, I was always hit with one thing after another. And it was always like, why is the world against me? But it was just signs saying, listen, like, this isn't the path you're meant to be taking.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as we start to look at ourselves and start to work actually on ourselves, I find the outside becomes a lot easier, because it's in tune with your body. So instead of always in that fight mode, you're
Mm-hmm.
finally moving with the flow of it, and
Right.
with the flow, with the vibration and the energy around us.
Mm-hmm. And everything resonates perfectly. Everything aligns perfectly when you do that. That's what happened to me and all we need to do is just decide this is my path, and that's it. And once we get that, make the decision, and decide what our heart says, everything just falls in place. And the fear is just, we crush the fear. So yeah, absolutely. Light is a perfect example of being that light and being the torch, and lighting the whole world, and that's all we need.
And I know with people, especially with me, before I started to really work on myself, I was desperate for change. So I was
Mhm.
grasping at straws everywhere. I was trying new things, not knowing if it was the right decision, but just trying it to try to think, okay, I got to change something. So I guess the trick is it's not just about choosing a path, but like you said, choosing the right one, really listening
Mhm.
into our intuition and our heart to really feel, okay, is this the right decision? And
Right.
I think when we work through that, I know one thing you work on is, detaching from the outcome, making
Hmm.
sure that,
Absolutely.
so can you explain a little bit more about what detaching from the outcome looks like, and how can we
Sure.
detach so that, you know, we can detach from the outcome, but no, we're still following our true path.
Mhm. Yep. That is, I think, that is one of the key concepts I teach is detaching from the outcome. The way I did it in my life was I went through IVF process to have babies. And one of the key things when you're going through a process like that, which involves the biggest outcome is having a baby, which is so tangible. And detaching from that was one of the key, I think, aspects of my journey, because when I'm detached, I'm more balanced, I'm more relaxed, and that is what is needed for the whole process to work.
Mm,
Because you have to be in a state of relax, so that the medicines or whatever you're taking is working
mm,
and you're not stressed out. So yes, having the detachment is seems difficult, but all we have to do is replace those thoughts. We have tools to do that. We have affirmations, and the mindset work that we do is all telling you to replace all those negative thoughts. When you're driven to the outcome, just replace it with positive. And that will give you that assurance that the process is working. Trust the process, enjoy the journey.
mm,
And that's what brings the the detachment towards the goals. And of course you have to follow a process, you have to follow the techniques every day. Being
mhm,
consistent is the key. Doing it every day is the key. And doing it at your lowest point, I think, is the key. Like, not just, oh, I'm so happy now, let me do my affirmations right now. But when you are filled with that negative aspects in your life, when you feel, oh my god, where am I, what am I doing, will this work, all the self-doubt, that's when I would go into my bathroom, read out all my affirmations loud and clear until my subconscious mind heard it, and then relaxes itself from the self-doubt. So that's what I would do all day and night, because I would just program myself that this is happening, and I am on, the universe is aligned to make this happen. And I am just so grateful that I have two healthy, beautiful babies. So that's a live example I can give, that detaching from outcome, and just trusting the process, following it, gives you the whole uh, understanding of what you are, of your true essence.
And I love how you mentioned about the lowest point, because that's so true. Often, even when I'm feeling really good, I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling good,
Mm-hmm.
I can do this. But then in my lowest points, that's where it's a good challenge to see how much faith you actually have. And you mentioned the word trust, and for me, the word trust is faith. And I
Mm-hmm.
still remember that point where you always hear people say, oh, well, I know it's always going to work out, and da 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 da. But it's kind of like a mental passing that we say this. But when I remember the moment that I started to feel, no, what, I do have faith it's going to work out, and I have faith that the universe has my back. So I I love, no matter how I feel, my faith in God is always there, and I'm always aware that the universe wants the best in me and wants good things for me. So, I was in a relationship that taught me a lot of things, but I was completely drained by the end of it. And I remember thinking, there has to be more than this. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, I it'll work out, and I have faith. But I remember something in me clicked where I was like, the only, you know, if this is really meant to work out, it needs to be easier than this.
Mhm.
And I knew that I didn't want to end it, but I knew I needed to. And I remember as soon as I did, no matter how much I loved this man, I felt so much better after I ended it, because I realized as soon as I ended it, I had that, ah, and I still, you know, was empty, drained, but having faith and making that jump and deciding allowed
Mhm.
me, and also detaching from the outcome. Like, I had to let go that, one, we wouldn't work, but two, the unknown was okay. I didn't mind the unknown because I was terrified of that. As soon as I had faith and I jumped, after ended up being so much better than I ever could have dreamed of. And so I think when you talk about, you know, having trust, and even at our lowest points,
Mhm.
when we make that decision and in our heart we know it's right, it everything starts to flow, and it's a ripple effect. Everything starts to come
Yeah.
out of sorts, out of the funk.
Right, right. I think when you do that at your lowest points, it it shifts the vibration, it shifts the energies within ourselves, and that, I think, takes you onto the, I believe, takes you onto the right path, following your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I totally believe that even when I had a relationship, I was in a relationship which ended, and at that point when it ended, when I really knew that the energies were gone. It's gone. And I felt that space which was filled with all of those emotions, it's now empty. And I have all that space within my heart to fill up with some whatever I may want. And that's the, I think that's what happens when you're true, when you're authentic, when you're, true to yourself, that you take up all those space that you filled up, which is not true, which is not, authentic to you. And when you pull that out, when you release it, you have all the space now, so you can do whatever you like. So yes, absolutely, it's so wonderful just to follow your own intuition, and everybody can do this. It's everybody has this gift. And um, and all and and everybody is special, gifted.
I love that you say that. I know I say I love a lot, but it's you resonate so much with what I practice as well. And you know, you mentioned how following our intuition, I guess, what is the first step that you would recommend in somebody following their intuition? How do you recommend somebody to wake up that part so that they can step into their power again?
Listen to your emotions. They are wonderful, wonderful indicators of your intuition. Whenever you feel fear, anxiety, guilt, warnings, warning signs in our car. So you may take a step back and see, why are you scared of? What is that you're anxious about, nervous about? When you're happy, when you're in that passionate mode, all those feelings, joy, bliss, all those are, your heart is saying, this is the right path. So we have them. Just listening, just being aware of your own senses is opening up that door to intuition. And yeah, that's the best start I recommend. Just be aware of your senses, be aware what your heart is feeling.
Hmm.
What are you feeling? What are you feeling now? And before you make a big decision, just go sit in meditation, sink into your heart and ask it, what are you feeling? Are you scared? Are you happy? And it will tell you, it
Hmm.
will tell you what it feels.
Yeah.
So that's all we have to do.
It's amazing. It's so simple yet so difficult for many of us.
I think just that part scares, that, oh, I have to sit down and go into myself and look into. People are scared what their heart might say.
Yeah.
And or that is one of the biggest thing that people don't do that. Maybe it's scary to listen to your heart, because when you do it, you have to follow it. And that's the scary part, so that's why people try to avoid it. Every time I talk to people, uh, they're scared to do that, because now that they have the information, now they have to follow it, and that can involve a lot of factors to be worked on with, and that's why they don't want to embark on that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And but when you don't do it, you are embarking on a journey which is not you, and that leads to nowhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's why I love your work, what you do, because that is something amazing, that people are going to have this great guidance, this great coaching on to just look into their own self, following their own heart, which is wonderful. And all people need right now is just some assurance, guidance on how can they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And because they have the power to do it, it's just the guidance that they are looking for. And that's just amazing, because all the work you do is really, really wonderful.
Yeah, I think, what we're doing in our journeys and really igniting that power back in people's lives, it's amazing to see. And, I had a friend recently, and she, in the last probably a few months, she said, she looked at me and she goes, I have a problem with control. And I'm like, okay.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. And so for a while she didn't want to touch on it. And I remember that, you don't want to articulate what's going on, because as soon as you articulate it, it's out
Mhm.
there. And I
Right.
know me well enough to know that I at that time wasn't ready, but now I know what I need to do and I do it. It's very easy for me. But for someone who's just starting, like my friend, I went to see her a couple weeks ago, and she had some issues that went on, and we were talking for a long time over the weekend. But it was amazing to see, because you can see the switch since she told me she had, a control problem. And then she swapped, and she was suddenly ready. And, things, when we coach, it's not about giving advice. It's guidance. It's what we hear from you. And
Mhm.
we're that we're that near for you. So it's bouncing off what I hear is coming off from you. And so with my friends, you know it got to the point where she started to get really good at it, and she could start listening to her own inner voice. So I would pose a question, she'd sit there, she'd answer, or she'd ask me a question, and I would just
Mhm.
wait. And then you just see her, that aha moment. Oh
Right.
my gosh. And that aha moment is her stepping into her power, because she's listening to her intuition. And it's incredible to see the change that she's made. And when you
Right.
look at this is why we do what we do, right? To feel, to connect, and to see people step into the power, into what they really have the power to do. And once they're in that center, they can change the world. They can do so much, and it's really exciting to see.
Absolutely. I mean, I see, people feel like, or getting into the spiritual path, or, listening to your inner voice, it takes years of practice. It takes so much of your time, and, all of that. But the truth is, it isn't. All it takes is a second to have the transformation. And that's it. I mean, once you see that happening, the shift in consciousness, you just are, you have a whole new world opened up for you, because you have now a shift of perception, because we are, what our worlds are made of our own perceptions, what we perceive.
Mhm.
And once that shifts, everything changes, everything manifests. So yes, it's just a simple transformation, that igniting of that perception is what it takes
Yeah, that
to
first
have
step.
that shift. Yep.
Yeah. And I think that first step is often the tricky one, but even the one right after, I feel a lot of people are worried about what happens afterwards, that
Mhm.
change, what to expect. And when you know, when you first start to transform, when you see that switch, I think a lot of us get worried, oh, how is so-and-so going to react? Or, and I remember some of the people in my life at the time, they were like, Jackie, what's wrong with you? Are you depressed? Do you need to talk to somebody? And I was like, no, it was almost as if they didn't see me or I didn't see me and they couldn't see the real me. And then finally, when I was ready to step out and be me, they were like, who are you? Where did the old Jackie go? And so what happened was after I made that transformation, that shift, I started to realign with new people or align with people in my life that were on the same vibration. And those that weren't, I ended up, cutting ties with or just losing touch. And we're just not in the same place as we were, originally. Maybe in the future we can be. So I think when people are stepping to this journey, that after step is always the worry. But it's once again going back to having faith that no matter what, you're going to meet people that resonate with you.
Right. If you keep that vibration, like all the techniques that you have used to get there, you will always be in a world that resonates with you, because everything is vibration, everything is energy. So we always are, we attract those experiences or people that resonate with our frequency. And so our job, as I say always, if you go to a dentist, they're going to do the work and, they're going to say you're all good. But at the end, they're going to say you have to go back and floss and brush twice a day, unless you do those things, you're going to go back to where you were. So it's up to you how you consistently follow your tools.
I absolutely love it.
Go back to dentist again in a year.
That is a great way to put it. I hate the dentist as well, as in
I know. Everybody hates it.
This is why I'm laughing.
So we have, because I have this, because my husband is now going through dental work, so I see it. So it's the same thing, we have to follow our tools. We have to do it consistently. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're going to go back to the same vibration you came from.
Mm-hmm. So it's like losing weight, actually, even.
Right.
People who are dieting, they wonder why they gain the weight back. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything. It's so I chose that example because that's what's happening in my life right now.
No, it's perfect. So, I'm like, oh, I hate the dentist. Why is this? Yeah, you're right. Like this isn't always easy.
Right. So it's scary, right? To go back to that vibration and so you do everything. So put up, change your environment, change your surroundings. So you're reminded always to follow your tools and, to be in that vibration.
But I will say, no matter how tiring it gets sometimes, going through all that work, I would not change anything for a second. Mm-hmm. To think of where I was, even a few years ago, to where I am now, I would not change 1 minute of it. And I was talking to another friend recently who said to me, do you always, do you know who you are? Do you know which direction you're going to? Who's very, rational. And like, are you always living the path you want to live? I go, yes, now. Everything I'm doing is a choice, and I'm making that choice, and it is a choice that I'm willing to make.
Yeah. And we follow these things, we are coaching, but I take things personally. Mm-hmm. I step on people's toes. Mm-hmm. I get vulnerable. I get scared. I get all of these things, but I remember to get my tools out, and every step, every incident happens in my life reminds me that I need to grab on, to that true essence and be me, be my authentic self. Mm-hmm. So we all go through all these anxieties, fears, and how we come out of that and how strong we come out is what these tools help us for.
Exactly. So, no, we are human after all, right?
Exactly. And we experience human things,
of course,
these feelings, but we have to take that as an opportunity to to practice and get above that.
Definitely. I read somewhere, I think it was in Think and Grow Rich, maybe, but it's what one person sees as a problem, another can see as an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah,
But
it's all
anyway,
about perception. Yeah.
yeah, it's all about perception. I love it.
Hmm.
Anyways, I wanted to thank you so much for joining me today. It was an incredible interview and so inspiring to listen to.
Thank you. Thank you. It was wonderful talking to you.
And for everybody listening, I'll post your information so they can get in touch with you as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, this I really enjoyed it. So thank you so much, and have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.